Hi, I'm Mike Mewborn, and my wife is Amy, also a Mewborn. And over the past couple of months, I've felt compelled to tell you a little bit more about, give you some more insights into what it's like to work with Amy. In the beginning, Amy was a financial advisor. She was making six figures, and we needed her income. She had a good job and she was working at a good firm, but she was becoming increasingly dissatisfied with her job. Her employer at the time was actually trying to cut back on benefits. She said that at age 32, she literally felt like she was going backwards. So it was around Christmas time, and one of the neighborhood neighbors had thrown a party, a Christmas party, and one of the girls who we hadn't seen in a while showed up at the party. And all the girls were asking her, "My goodness, what have you done? You look fantastic." And so she said that she had been taking these barre classes. And so all the girls wanted to know what it was all about. And Amy and one of the other girls in the neighborhood actually went and took a class after the first of the year. She literally fell in love with it, came home, bought a package, and started going pretty regularly. She had only been taking classes for a few weeks. But after taking about 3 weeks worth of classes, she came home and said that she wanted to explore opening a studio of her own. All right, so let me get this straight. You want to quit your six-figure job, take money out of the bank, and start your own studio. Now, I've always sort of been an entrepreneurial sort, but there was a lot of danger there. So I decided, I took a class, I just wanted to get a better idea of what it was all about. After that, it seemed like a pretty good business model. We started talking to one of the franchises, but they kind of wanted us to do it their own way. The original plan was for Amy to continue working her day job and to do the studios between the cracks. Well, that was not going to work for either. And what happened was we had a baptism of fire that followed. We made a ton of mistakes the first time. We wanted to open our very first location in a popular mall where our target demographic shopped. Thank God we didn't get it. We did find a former yoga studio, and so we opened our first location about 12 miles from where we wanted to be. Within 6 months of opening that first studio, we opened a second studio, which was very close to where we wanted to be, albeit in a different location. At the same time, Amy unselfishly helped two other studios open. Little did we know at the time that was going to be her next career. It pays to do nice things for people. So now we have two studios just a few miles apart, and you always have issues. We had issues with build out and contractors, staffing issues. We had promotions that worked in one location fell flat at the other, vendors and retail. How could two similar studios be so completely different that we're only 12 miles apart? Amy would literally come home at night ripping her hair out, but there was really no one to go to. We just had to figure out things on our own. And I would help wherever I could, but I had my own things to do as well. Through it all, she always figured out how to solve the problems and kept moving on. We missed the sure money that she made at her 9-to-5 job, but we gained a whole lot more control on our schedules, our vacations, and she got to decide what was free time. She also started making more money, a lot more. So at this point, we've got two studios up and running, figuring out what worked, what didn't, how to keep our staff and our clients happy. Neither one was an easy task, mind you. But some of the things that we installed from day one proved to be absolutely huge in terms of keeping the peace, as well as protecting our own personal interests. But Amy documented everything. So a little background here about Amy. She's always been an industrious sort, and she gets more done by 10 a.m. on Monday than I get done all week long. That's just how it is. So during this period, our licensor kept referring potential new studio owners and new wannabe studio owners to Amy to help them get a better start. Amy always gladly helped out. She gave them advice gained through much blood and sweat and tears, I might add, never asking for anything in return. And so I would ask her, well, why don't you work with corporate and get paid to help launch new studios? She said to me point blankly, I really don't want to work for anyone else anymore, ever. Fair enough. I can relate. So about 3 or 4 years in, Amy started certifying barre instructors online. And at the same time, she created another company that started help with budding studio owners and helping them open their own without a $50,000 or $100,000 franchise startup fee, not to mention an 8 to 10% override on the total revenue. So after about 7 years of owning and refining 2 studios, while at the same time helping other folks with their studios, we decided to sell everything and move to Las Vegas. Amy now spends 100% of her time and energy consulting and helping other studio owners and aspiring studio owners with their dream. So now, here we are, all settled in our new home, new town, new life. I have my office, she has hers, in our home, of course, but I still routinely hear her talking to some of her prospective clients, as well as some of those who pay her a fee to help them with ongoing issues. I still constantly find myself amazed at the advice I hear her doling out on an almost daily basis. Sometimes they're little things like how to make a successful in-studio event without spending a fortune, or how to incentivize your staff while still making your own life easier. Sometimes they're bigger things like what to look for in a lease agreement. I sure wish we had learned that before we signed our first lease. What to do, let's say, before you acquire another business, or even how to position and market your business on a daily, weekly, monthly, or annual basis. There's so many moving pieces I hear her talking about, and I often remember what caused us to learn that particular nugget of advice. And I can tell you this, it always came at a price. I tend to be the type of person who is not afraid to try new adventures and projects, but I do generally prefer to have someone who knows more than me looking over my shoulder to kind of sort of point out how to do it better, and in many cases, more importantly, what not to do. It's nice to have a consultant who's been there, done that, and somebody who can keep you headed in the right direction. Whenever I hear her telling clients and prospectives that all these things that we learned the hard way, I'm proud that she's able to save her clients the huge $50,000 to $100,000 franchise fee, and that's before you even open your doors, plus 8-10% right off the top of your gross revenue. It's also really nice to be able to run your business the way you want without having to answer to corporate. And by that I mean we had 2 studios, 12 miles apart, that were so completely different, there's no way that a corporation in another part of the country would be able to advise us on what would work and what wouldn't. We felt that you need to be free to experiment on your own. I keep suggesting that she raise her fees because I know what and how much sweat equity went into each little bitty piece of direction that she gives. I also know for a fact that 98.5% of the people considering opening their own studio would be better served by a small upfront fee and an ongoing consultant than the huge bite a franchise takes out of their franchisee's profitability. That is, profitability. We know. We've been there.